If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard in Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
Hey everybody, this is PWZ, Rick Del Santo here, the Prof. And I'm just chilling here tonight. I want to know, did anybody out there watch NWA Powerrr Surge this evening? I thought it was a pretty good show. It's a very underrated program, I think. It's a way to get people into it. A bunch of highlights and then an exclusive match, so I don't know. I enjoy it. Some people don't enjoy it as much. I think it's great. It kind of reminds me of watching like an older episode of like, say, WCW Worldwide, where it'd be like a lot of highlights and then, stuff like that. And then one just exclusive match and try to sell people to get into the arena kind of a thing. But the exclusive match was Genocide and Sky Blue. I thought it was a pretty decent match. It was quite enjoyable, and this Genocide I have not really seen too much of other than what I've seen in NWA Powerrr. I am becoming a fan. I did see her on this past weekend's, what's that show? Mission Pro show, and I thought she had a pretty decent match there. Other than that, I'm not really too familiar, so I've pretty much only seen probably like 3 or so matches from what I could think of. But they've been really focusing on this Trevor Murdoch, Nick Aldis thing. Trevor Murdoch obviously suspended for 30 days without pay because of the 6-man tag that happened, I believe, that was last week, yep. And Tim Storm teamed up with him and Aaron Stevens against Kratos, Latimer, and what's the other guy's name? Kratos, Latimer, and Chris Masters, or Adonis, whatever you want to call him. And obviously, Tim Storm took the fall, so of course now Trevor Murdoch is suspended for 30 days without pay. So I'm kind of wondering, is this going to make the situation between Strictly Business and Trevor Murdoch, more intense, or Tim Storm going to feud with Trevor Murdoch? Do you think that Trevor Murdoch will turn heel? I think it's very possible that could happen, that we'll end up having a match between the two of them. So, give your opinions in the comments. So, I'm really interested in knowing how many subscribers that the NWA has on Fight. It's $5 a month. You get 3 brand new episodes of NWA Powerrr each month, and then an episode of Powerrr Surge. Do you think that Powerrr Surge should be on Fight and included in the subscription? Or should that be something that should be, say, on YouTube? Jay Cal of the Alliance blog brought that up on his show today, and I kind of agree. I think that should be like a nice show to help promote people to get into the Fight subscription, or try to convince people to get into the Fight deal. Pay that $4.99 a month. I'm going to buy it regardless because it is the NWA, and I'm a very big NWA fan. It's $4.99. It's not that big a deal, really. But a lot of people are complaining that they can't do it, that they don't feel like that they should be paying $4.99 for a subscription for you only get 3 one-hour programs. I mean, that's like $1.25 each, and then you get the Powerrr Surge. But like I said, Powerrr Surge maybe should be a show that'll, on a different day, maybe they should make that an exclusive show to YouTube, and maybe produce more of them. I mean, it's a fun little program with the interviews and such. Maybe make that once a week. Then add a 4th regular NWA show or episode of Powerrr. Stretch out those TV tapings a little bit better than, you are. Maybe cut some more promos and interviews and then stretch those matches out. I understand that they're on a very limited roster. You know, they're just coming back from the pandemic, you know what I mean? Started running shows again after, just over a year. And most of the roster has gone elsewhere. You know, you had guys like Eli Drake run over to NXT, James Storm back in TNA, Impact, whatever you want to call it. Zicky Dice, got his release. His contract expired, and he waited for it and got his release. I know there's other people that left. I just can't think offhand. I know Colt Cabana signed to AEW. I think he was was he in the second season? I believe he was in the first season, though. So, I mean, there's a lot out there, and there's more talent. They should really be bringing them, you know, be reaching out and trying to get more talent in. I understand, you know, it's just them coming back right now, so you got to kind of be patient with them, you know what I'm saying? But I get it. So, you know, they're trying. They're trying their best. Slice Boogie, I think, is an amazing talent. I think that guy's really good. If you haven't seen him prior to the NWA, go check out some championship wrestling from Hollywood. And the UWN stuff, the United Wrestling Network stuff. He's really talented. He teams up as part of the Bodega over there with, Danny Limelight Rivera, who's also an excellent, excellent talent. I'd like to see him in the NWA, but now he's being featured heavily on AEW Dark and AEW Elevation, excuse me. So, yeah. The NWA, I think that they can really produce some really great episodes. I'm hoping that in the future that they're going to start bringing more in, because really they're only working with about, a dozen guys right now? That's not much. That's not many people at all. And they have a pay-per-view coming up in about a month. I don't have the name here in front of me, but yeah, they have a whole episode or a pay-per-view coming out in a month, so I'm hoping that they'll be able to come up with some other matches. I'm assuming that by that pay-per-view that the Trevor Murdoch's 30 days will be up. Maybe he'll be the one that'll be facing Nick Aldis for the NWA World title.
I already talked it over with the boys, and we agreed that a good idea would be set up a little 6-man tag as the main event of NWA Powerrr. If you win, you get a shot at the national championship. If you don't win, you go home for 30 days.
And people said they were worried they would never see Tim Storm in the ring again. Look at this.
Coming in too.
He is firing on all cylinders.
Wow, just all chaos.
And there's Sauer. What's Sauer doing on the apron? Oh, and now it's really broken down out here.
Wow.
Right in front of us, Trevor Murdoch is just beating up.
Wow, Kratos taking the fight to Kratos.
Slams down Tim Storm.
Oh no!
Oh no! Your winners by pinfall, Chris Adonis, Tom Latimer, and Kratos!
Oh no! Oh no! Trevor Murdoch! Oh no!
Trevor, thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate it. I know it's been an incredibly emotional journey for you, lots of ups and downs, and I would just love to know how you're feeling, both mentally and physically.
Physically, I'm beat up. Mentally, I'm excited. I'm tired. I feel proud. Proud is the biggest. I think that's the biggest emotion I'm feeling right now. I have an opportunity to become NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Mm-hmm. As a young guy coming up through the ranks under Harley, and through following him and listening to him, the training I went through, one of the constants was his NWA World Heavyweight title that was in a box above his desk. So every day as a young guy, you go in there to talk to Harley, you see that world title. And from that perspective, it's a very unattainable goal. You work so hard for something, and you visualize it in your head, and you say, I can do this. But there's a small part of you that is realistic and doesn't want to get your hopes up. That's where I've been at my whole career. And even when I came here the first time in the NWA, I didn't expect much. I just wanted to make a splash. I wanted to stand out. And I've seemed to find myself constantly moving forward up in the ranks to now. I've been, as you've seen, I've been dealing with Nick Aldis, kind of putting some obstacles in my way.
How does that feel?
It's almost par for the course. That's how my life works. Like, there is no easy path for me. There's never been an easy path for me. I had a close friend of mine when I was a young guy that says, if you just realize life is hard and accept it, it becomes easier. Mm-hmm. And that's how I've become.
And you're a very hardworking man.
At the very least, at the end of the day, I have to look in the mirror and I have to look at myself and I have to answer to myself. And on top of that, I also have 2 young men at home that I'm raising that are watching this program, and I have to be the example for them on how to be a man and how to carry yourself and how to have respect, how to treat ladies. They're watching all this, and I want to make sure that I give them the best representation possible and the best example possible.
Well, you said you don't like to set any expectations. Is that because you're afraid of being disappointed?
Wow, you get a little deep there on that question. Of course, you know what I mean? Nobody wants to put in the hard work and sacrifice everything. There were nights that
Have you sacrificed everything?
Of course, like there's been nights I've slept in my car. There's been nights that I've decided that I've had to choose between paying my rent or paying in gas so I can get to my next wrestling show. And it always went to my wrestling, because at the end of the day, I didn't want to have any regrets. I didn't want to be an old man and look back and go, I should have or I could have done this. At the very least, I want to know that I gave everything I had. I tried everything I could so I can be okay with myself.
Being in professional wrestling, it's a sacrifice. Would you say that's true? Generally? Or more for you?
No, I think every wrestler sacrifices things when you become a wrestler, because when you're on the road, you're missing away from time with your family, and you're missing time with your friends, and you're working towards a goal of becoming a world champion. Every wrestler wants to become a world champion. But
as exciting as that is, it hurts too, right?
Of course, because a lot of men don't make it. Mm-hmm. There's a handful of guys that have made it to the top in this business, if you really look at it. And there's a lot more men that have tried to get there. That falls back on Harley and me following his example. He set the pace for me. He set the standard for me. And I'm just following his lead. Granted, he's not here anymore, I'm still following his path.
I'm hearing some sadness in your voice. Would you say that you are sad right now?
I'm not. I mean, I'm a grown-ass man here on TV. I wish Harley was here. Mm-hmm. You know, who doesn't want the guy or the person that's taking you to another level? Who doesn't want that person to be there for you to show to them, you know, I did this. I did this, and it was because of you. You helped me. That's the payoff. I feel like I don't have any payoff to give to him because he's not here. So it gets me emotional, and it means a lot to me to be able to not only do this for him, but to show the world that I can do this. And I want to bring this home to my kids, my people. I want to show them what I did.
Maybe also the situation with J.R. Kratos and Aaron Stevens will be resolved by then. Kratos has been chilling with those guys over with Strictly Business, and Aaron Stevens has, ever since Josephus's passing, he's been working on the babyface side, and you know, and it's working. It's working a lot, man, and I think that he's really getting over the way he is. He's doing really well, I think. I'm really interested in seeing what's going to happen with that with that tag team and the tag team titles. So, should be interesting. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the pay-per-view. Haven't purchased it yet. Maybe I should get on that tonight, because It's going to be a show really worth watching, I think, and I'm thinking that there's going to be more talent announced soon, and they're going to bring in some other guys. Because it's like, not for nothing, you watch WWE, and it's the same guys over and over every week. They don't really change it up, even though they've got a really, really, really big roster. The NWA has and people get tired of it. I'm sorry to stutter a little bit and get on. People get tired of it. But the NWA has a very limited roster. So there's going to have to be something that is done to make the viewer and the subscribers continue to subscribe and be interested in their product. It's just the truth. It's a fact. Because if I'm going to sit there and watch every week the same matches over and over, or the same 8 to a dozen people over and over, and they're not really doing much with them, I'm not going to want to subscribe. And I'm just speaking from a general viewer side. I'm not speaking as somebody here with this podcast and somebody here, an NWA loyalist. I'm just saying as a general fan, that's how I would feel, and I'd get sick of it. And as a wrestling fan, I've canceled a lot of my subscription services outside of my Fight TV subscription for the NWA. I don't really need them. There's plenty of wrestling that I get for free. And seeing that WWE went to Peacock, and not that I've ever really, I always had the WWE Network and it was coming out of my bank account every month, and I never used it except for pay-per-views. And even still, I barely pay attention to the pay-per-views. I don't really care enough. They don't make me care enough because there's not enough that they're doing with the roster. And that's something that the NWA needs to do. They need to change up the roster, and they need to do a lot more. Not that they're doing bad. It's because I am enjoying it. And I am enjoying the Trevor Murdoch, Nick Aldis storyline. I just think that it could go a little bit better, and they could spend a little bit more time on it, and they could bring in some more people to change it up a little bit. I don't know how long somebody like, say, Chris Adonis is going to be in there. Aaron Stevens has been in there for a very long time. Well, not a very long time, but, since Corgan started Powerrr and such. So it's really tricky to see for them. And if the NWA wants to be successful. Now, if you remember, when Lagana was with the company, he always spoke about that there's a 20-year plan. So let's keep that 20-year plan. You're already about 4 to 5 years down, right, Billy? So that could work. You got to make sure that it works, and you got to keep things interesting and change things up. Bring in different guys. They had a pretty decent roster before. They can do it again. I'd like to see more Powerrr Surge, and I'd like to see it promoted a lot better.
All right, a couple notes here. June 12th, Battlefront Pro. Our good friend of the show, Bull Dredd, will be making his debut for the show. We have a promo here, so let's hear from him now.
Anticipation is over. The contract is signed. The Beast officially comes to Battlefront Extreme on June 12th in Ludlow, Mass. at the Elks. What is in store for all the great fans? From the Hardcore Nightmare, the original Beast of New England, you're going to have to get all your tickets, and I'm going to show Battlefront Extreme the reason why Beast still rules.
Also, I want to bring up this day in history. We're gonna be talking about the next PAPW show in just a second, but we're going to be talking about today, May 5th, in history. May 5th, 2002, legendary referee Randy Pee Wee Anderson passed away after a lengthy battle with cancer. Anderson was a childhood friend of Arn Anderson. He started out training for a professional wrestling career with Arn under the tutelage of Ted Allen. Anderson started working as a referee upon his graduation in 1978 in Mid-South Wrestling. He also refereed in Florida Championship Wrestling before arriving in the National Wrestling Alliance's Jim Crockett Promotions in 1985. Anderson continued as a referee in WCW until his battle with cancer forced him to retire in 1999. A couple birthday shout-outs today. Cowboy Bill Watts, born
May 5th, 1939. Japanese legend Hiroshi Hase, May 5th, 1961. And former NWA Women's United States Tag Team, World Tag Team, and WWF Women's Tag Team Champion, Princess Victoria. Now, she just appeared on a good friend of the show, the Top Rope Report, recently. I believe it was last week. You go back on Facebook Live and you can check it out in Anchor and Spotify. I want to give a shout out to the gentlemen at Top Rope Report. Those guys are really good over there, covering NXT, SmackDown, and Monday Night Raw, and all WWE pay-per-views. Now, May 22nd is the King of Paradise being held from Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling. It's going to be at the Paradise Alley training facility, and will stream on Twitch. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, I believe the ticket cutoff is May 15th. I will not be in attendance for this one. I usually attend every show. I'm going to be away because my son has a basketball tournament that weekend. So I don't know if I'd make it back on time. So first round matchup. I'm going to go over these matchups real quick. First round matchup. High Voltage Omar is going to be taking on Dustin Flash Waller. Saru taking on Ichiban. That one should be a good one. Let's see. King of Paradise first round matchup. Buzz Bloodsaw taking on Intercontinental Champion, or former Intercontinental Champion, Maxim Morozov. Let's see. We got another one here. First round matchup. Bull Dredd taking on Kylon King. Don't hurt him, Dredd. Seriously. That's going to be a different. Alright, also, those are the only first round matchups that we know so far. I don't think that there's going to be any more being announced. But a number one contenders match for the Tag Team Championship will be taking place. The Firm of Elijah Six and Sammy Diaz taking on the Haven and Waves and Curls. That should be a really good one. I'm not a huge fan of three-way matches, but those teams are really good. Also, PAPW World Champion Matthias will be taking on the Intercontinental Champion Zafar Al-Rahihi. That'll be a good one. That one I know for sure. And I believe that's it for now as far as matchups go. If you can't be there in attendance, tickets I think are $15. If you can't be there in attendance, please go to Paradise Alley's Twitch channel. I'm about to bring it up. And it'll be streamed on there live 7 p.m. And Facebook Live as well. They're a really good company to support, and it's a lot of fun. All right? Folks, thank you for tuning in this week. And have fun. We'll see you tomorrow.